welcome to the many of you who've already joined us on the tube, folks, our tubers, especially Edward Brooms. Carol Glenn is here, and all the other folks who are joining us this morning. You're on the live. Welcome to FYI for your information. It's the 17th day of November, folks. It's officially December. It's officially December. There's no turning back now. We're over the half-month mark. It's December, folks. And I see Chong is back. We're talking about Jung Chong in Georgetown, here in South America, in Guyana, where we broadcast live from. We're happy to have so many of you with us. It's packed out in the city, folks. A lot of window shoppers. A lot of window shoppers. We were down there at Guy Expo last evening. Quite surprised by the numbers. Quite surprised by the numbers. You know, thought it would have been packed out. Like Regent Street, a lot of window shoppers in Regent Street. Press conference yesterday with the Vice President, Bar Jagnew. Quite interesting stuff there in that press conference. A lot of very, very, very interesting stuff. Yeah, very, very interesting. So we're going to be talking about this and some other things, folks, this morning. Sheena Hazel and Jolly Anderson, still but sure, joining us on Facebook. You folks joining us on Twitter. We see you. We see you. All the folks joining us on Twitter. You know, hit that emoji button for us this morning. The folks in the Twitterverse, hit that emoji button for us. Those of you on YouTube and Facebook as well. We were live last evening showing some of Guy Expo on our TikTok channel there. Incredible Sources. Make sure you follow us on TikTok. We got over 30,000 people who follow us on TikTok. Who knew? Incredible Sources TikTok channel. 30,000 people follow us on our TikTok channel. Yeah. We only started TikToking the other day. Like Uncle Glenn, big Uncle Glenn. We only got to TikTok. The other day, folks, we got lots to share with you. Guyana is such an interesting place. Guyana is such an interesting place. And a couple of things we want to share with you guys. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. You know, there's that press conference yesterday by Bar Jagnew, the Vice President of the PPP, General Secretary of the PPP, Vice President of Guyana. Unfortunately, Vice President of Guyana. And some things he said in that press conference really struck us. Debbie Collins, Sheena Hazel, Ethelene Peters, we think you might find it very interesting. Some of what he said in that press conference. Very, very interesting. You see? Very, very interesting. Look, you know there's a fact-finding team that's visiting? Yes, there is. You know, a fact-finding team out of the U.S., elected officials, some formerly elected officials, got an interest in Guyana. They have a diaspora audience from Guyana at their end, constituents. They've been hearing a lot of things about Guyana, and so they have an interest. And so they're here, fact-finding, to see for themselves discrimination, whether it's racial, ethnic, what have you. They've been following, and so they're here. Interestingly, apparently in one of their press conferences, quite recently, or rather in a press statement, I think, if you believe Mr. Jagnew, they put out a statement apparently that upset him. In this statement, they talked about a dark cloud over Guyana. Well, John Wolford, who told him to say that? Diane Johnson, who told them to say that? Glenford Gordon. How dare they? In my Delcy Rodriguez voice. How dare they talk about a dark cloud hanging over this country? Well, he took exception to that. Welcome to FYI, folks. We shared it live yet? We smashed that emoji button yet? He took exception to that. Oh, did you know that the PPP is a Marxist-Leninist party? Did you know that? Did you know that, folks? What are you guys having for beverage this morning? For hot beverage? What are you beautiful folks having for hot beverage this morning? Did you know they're Marxist Leninist party? That's their worldview? My God. And then Bobby Gusai came up as well. I want to compass these things because we have other things to talk about as well, folks. We got some other things to talk about. Oh, yes. Jaggi is very upset right now. He upset over Rickford Burke. He upset because Delcy Rodriguez could outmatch him in lies. Number of things we're following: Cherry Jeffrey, Glenford Gordon, Maureen Chester Paul. But let's start with the press statement coming out of the fact-finding team. Again, if he's to be believed, he said there's a line in there concerning a dark cloud over Guyana. He said no dark cloud over this country. No dark cloud is over this country. That is what he said. Take a look, folks, and take a listen as he takes umbrage at what was contained in this press statement out of the USA fact-finding team. Oh, it upsets them that these folks are here talking with people. Now, if you got nothing to hide, and if everything you do is nice time, why are you upset? You don't have to be upset. Take a look. You took umbrage.
When an organization will, in a press release of the 26th of October 2023, say that this is one of the statements, say, the allegations of racial discrimination and human rights violations have cast a dark shadow over the nation, threatening the very fabric of its society. You can't be speaking about Guyana because there's no dark shadow over our nation. There was a dark shadow when APNU tried to steal the elections for the 5 months. There was a really dark shadow over the nation at that time because our entire democratic foundation was under threat, and our way of life and our freedom and future was under threat. That was the period in which we had a dark shadow over the nation. And the threat came from the same APNU, not from the PPP. But now we're the fastest growing economy in the world. We've generated over 50,000 jobs in the last 3 years alone. More people are coming here. Guyanese are returning home. We've seen a large number who left this country for a number of years now coming back, trying to seek citizenship here. We have a number of people who want to live in Guyana or try to immigrate to our country. We've seen growing access to healthcare and almost every other area of development in our country. This is not a dark shadow hanging over our country. And it's not threatening the very fabric of our society. I don't see us, in fact, in the United States of America, they probably have more disruptions of an ethnic nature than we have in this society. I don't see any of that. But to put that in your press release before you come to Guyana, it's judgmental. It's judgmental.
Yeah, so that's what he said, folks. That's what he said. You gotta love Jack Dio or hate him a lot. You gotta love him or hate him a lot. Folks, we're celebrating our anniversary. 3 years. We out here dealing with these jagabats and trench crappos. You gotta love him or hate him a lot. See, he said there's no dark cloud. There's no dark cloud. Brenda Moore, Adroli, Derek, Siobhan, Beatrice. Beatrice, how are you doing? Magnell, there's no dark cloud, Shauna. Jacqueline, Loretta. It vexed him. Y'all heard it, right, Siobhan? Don't take our word for it. There's no dark cloud in this country. Beryl Crawford, Dar David. Now, that is an out-of-touch leader. That is a leader who is tremendously out of touch with what's happening in this country. He's aloof. He got come out them gas guzzlers, 20 vehicle entourage he's been driving around in. Step out of Pradoville tree every now and again right? And really listen to the common man. Don't go with big vehicle and so on. Slip on a baseball cap. Don't go with no security. And like an ordinary citizen, pull your head down in your face, you see, and take a stroll to the market every now and again. He ain't got no dark cloud hanging over this country. This young man would beg to differ. He would beg to differ. That what you heard there is an out of touch leader. But listen to people on the ground. The ordinary common Guyanese. Listen to them. Mr. Jack Dale. Listen to them. You listen to them as well, viewers.
Guyana is the only country people do that feel like it's like them like walk over like ice nip on cake. All them Venezuela people just come in this country do they feel like and Guyana work for $2,000 a day, the guy needs them out of job because all the Spanish man them taking all the work. And all the Spanish woman in the market selling. So I work with people. So there's been nonsense going on in this country. Things need to done properly. When you're talking about against the government need to put certain things in place. Bare nonsense. That's what people do with it. That's what Guyanese got to do what they're doing for make money. The man will get catching them 5,000 easy, no wrong. Because who gonna work for $2,000 a day and $3,000 a day? The man wife getting baby, the man gotta get money. Then the hospital living properly. When you go to the hospital, your wife give board them public hospital, it's bare nonsense going on. It's not everybody get money for go to a private hospital. Who get money get? The rich people them surviving. The poor people them that suffer. That's why certain fucking rich people and poor man eating their food, you understand me? Because if I can't eat, nobody can eat. And it's like everybody good with the Spanish people them in this country. Them just do what they feel like walk freely, nobody get nothing to say about that. Then they come with boat, everybody good with it. People there with camera videoing and putting it, the government they putting it into consideration. So we expect happening. And the Spanish people ain't coming and cause a lot of moderation in Guyana, killing people that kind of thing. Like this is them country. They gotta put things in place by just shopping this Guyana in this country. That's why them are treating Guyana like fucking prostitute. All the rest of the country is act like gangster. Only Guyana is act like a prostitute. Because we ain't got no good system in here. That's why people got to go and thief people think and get money, you understand me? Because no money, no good salary you can get. Who eating, can't eat suffer. I like a man like me, if I can't eat, nobody can eat. They gonna eat your food. Guyana.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, folks. No dark cloud over this country. That's yesterday, That's recently. That's not 1992. Vice President Jack Dio. If you share the life yet, you're wicked. If you haven't shared the life, that's 1992 when the other come in, to rescue the nation. Folks of 31 years, the PPS had 26. That's their governance. And this young man says something tremendously important. He's saying attacking the government, and he isn't. He's just stating what is his lived experience in this country. And because you do that, you're deemed anti-development, anti-government, because you're not so weighing them. But I want Jack Dio to just pull a hat down in his face. See? And go around by the market. Pull a hat down and you go around like a common man. Put on a little, well, you don't walk with a little funny thing. Put on a little extra something. Pull a cap down and go around by the market. Pose it by one of them places on Regent Street and just take a listen. I'm very fond of this hat. I coveted this hat for my wife, you see. I like to have her close always. So I coveted this hat from her, and I try to wear it as often as possible when I go out and she's in there, that she's always close to me. Coveted this hat. Like her mug. What's hers is mine. What's mine is mine. Put on a cap in your head. You see? Oh, yes, with the fastest growing economy. You can tell him that. We're the fastest growing economy. You can tell him that? Should we tell him that? Oh, 50,000 jobs. For who? For the Venezuelans. 50,000 jobs for the Venezuelans. Tell him. Tell a young man how much roads are building. How much hotels come in. We got eat or be eaten, Irvin Dunn. Eat or be eaten, Leslie Thompson. Kyle Bino, eat or be eaten. Eat or be eaten. That's that. He's not from, we don't know him. We saw that circulating on social media. So you can't say Jack Yossi, PNC rabble rousers is the APNU is the AFC. Always the blame game. He never wrong. Everybody else wrong he. Never wrong. A man called Bobby Gosai works for the Ministry of Natural Resources. Went on a frolic of his own. If you to believe Jack Dio. Went on a frolic of his own. Engage ExxonMobil to bring down monies owed to us. 214 million US to some $3 million. They give you 14 days leave, salary deduction, and a PhD scholarship. PhD, 14 days, no salary. This is a toss-up. This is a tough one. Right? And reporters have been asking pertinent questions. I want you to listen to something. We got some fantastic journalists in this house. You know, a couple of them trapped by the DPI, some of them trapped by the Chronicle. But we got a couple decent reporters in this country. We got some good ones, you see. Also, Kaito News. And here one of them asks Jack your question. And hear what his response is. Hear what his response. I'll show you how we upside down. How Guyana is not a real place. And how who's in government currently is a pack of jokers. Out of touch, out of their depths. You see. But you see them come with a big vehicle and so on. You think there's people? You think there are people. So here a pertinent question being asked about oil and gas, about what's happening in this country. And here the response from your best friend.
Good afternoon, sir. Davina Bagat with Kaito News. A few questions from me. Firstly, it's been 19 months since Exxon updated the Stabroek Block resources. Can you say what is government's position on this?
What did Vikram Bharat tell you?
He didn't respond to this.
Did you ask him that question?
It wasn't in the openness
you didn't
yet.
ask him the question. The next time Vikram Bharat hosts a press conference, ask him that one.
Sir, I wanted to know.
I told you already, I'm not dealing with routine matters. I want to deal with the policy. Get on to ask me the policy questions. Compliance with agreements and stuff like that, that's a routine matter for the ministry.
On that note then, can you say what is in place to protect Guyana financially from a spill that occurs outside of the Stabroek Block during exploration?
You asked that question.
Which was not addressed by the minister, by the way.
Yes, you asked that question, and I addressed that issue many, many times before when it was asked about whether a study was done to look at the overall impact on other countries, etc. I addressed that matter. I'm not senile. I know about it. So I'm not responding again there. Glenn Lal would have like all Vikram exhausted all the Kaito News questions.
You gotta love the fella or hate him a lot. He's so incorrigible, Annette. Right? There, you know, sipping his tea. You see, he's a brainiac, you know. Ask me the policy questions. I'm not here for routine matters. Ask me the policy questions. Who gets this and that and regulations and so on. Oh, those are by the way things, man. I'm here for the tough stuff. We're having a press conference here. Ask me tough questions. He takes a sip in his petty bourgeois style. Ask me the tough questions. Folks, you see, Minister Vikram Bharat, has he held a press conference yet? In 3 years as Natural Resource Minister, I think he held one on the instruction of Jack Leo. And then he evades the reporter's question. She comes back to Jack Leo. She said, Vikram, answering the question. He said, go back and ask him. I don't want to deal with those. If you share the life, yet you're wicked. If you partner with us, yet you're wicked. I'm about to get up from here and dash this whole chair in your chest this morning. You're wicked, folks. If you partner with us as yet, you're equally wicked. And I say that without any any apologies. You're wicked. You can see the link flashing by. But look, story here now. You remember the fellow just said, ask me the policy question. You see these old fossils? You see these old fossils? I don't know why they don't go somewhere to be studied, right? Look at policy issues he wants to deal with in his press conference. Didn't he just say, ask me the policy question? Black Eye Shelley. Shelley, that name is very thingish. Black Eye Shelley. But that's Andrews. Then he just say, ask me the he want to deal with policy stuff. You all smash that emoji button, man. Rhonda, Jolie, and the other Argyle, Forbes, Meduse. Then he say he want to deal with the policy stuff, the heavy governmental stuff. Yeah? But look some policy stuff he dealt with in the press conference yesterday. He just tell the Kaito News fantastic reporter. He asked me the policy questions, man. Regulations and so on. That's with a small man like Vikram Bharat. I deal with policy issues at the government level. You see, he got his cup there. Petty bourgeois style. Look at policy issues that he want to deal with. Take a look.
Coming from a conference held only for opposition members, a criminal called Burke, because the same extreme rhetoric of Rickford Burke, racist rhetoric of Rickford Burke and others, have found their way into the statement. Burke has been talking about this mission even before this first press release. I think he is scared of coming back here. There's Burke and a few others who are sniping from the US. But I don't know what progress there is. Contrary to his belief, we think about him all the time. It's only at the press conferences I pay attention to him. I see he took when I said he came out the basement now. Coming.
Yeah. Ask me the policy question. Ask me the Vikram Bharat and oil and gas and who gets what and regulations and so on. Ask me the policy. Ingrid, don't listen to me. Sabrina Blue. Ask me the policy questions, man. Margaret Nelson, Rhonda Gordon, Maureen Chesterport. Ask me the policy questions. So, both in this press conference, Bar Jagger spent about 50 minutes of an hour and a half on Rickford Burke and the fact-finding team. Those are the policy issues he wants to deal with. 50 minutes. He spent less than 10 minutes on Venezuela. Less than 10 minutes on Venezuela. He said the lawyers have dealt with that properly. And on the policy issue of Rickford Burke, on that policy issue, the governmental policy issue of Rickford Burke, right? Burke this, Burke that, Burke next, Burke, Burke.
Coming from a conference held only for opposition members by a criminal called Burke, because the same extreme rhetoric of Rickford Burke, racist rhetoric of Rickford Burke and others have found their way into the statement. Burke has been talking about this mission even before this first press release. I think he is scared of coming back here. There's Burke and a few others who are sniping from the US. But I don't know what progress there is. Contrary to his belief, we think about him all the time. It's only at the press conferences I pay attention to him. I see he took umbrage when I said he came out the basement. Now, coming from a
say listen so, folks. Say listen so. He wants to deal with the policy issues, you see. He wants to deal with the policy issues. We got no dark cloud over this country. Some folks would beg to differ, right? Mind you, as we move on, good folks, he said it wasn't he who first raised this issue of the channel out. He said it wasn't him that raised this issue first about this channel out. He said it was Hite. He said it was former President Hite who raised this issue. It wasn't him who raised it first.
You could probably, on the maritime area, give Venezuela a channel out to the sea. So you make a slight concession in the maritime area. You could probably, on the maritime area, give Venezuela a channel out to the sea. So you make a slight concession in the maritime area.
I don't know if you saw that article. The article basically pointed out that this offer of the sea lane to the Atlantic and even a sliver of coastal territory was made in 1990 under Desmond Hoyt, formally, and that it was part of the Venezuela's memorandum to the ICJ in March of 2018. When you remember they filed in 2018, Venezuela included that. I checked it, it's on page 88 of their memorandum.
folks, he sees himself. You know the page that is on, but him bring the page. He make a copy. So I see there. It was you, Desmond Hoyt, in 1990 who offered them this channel. Margaret, it was Hoyt that offered them this channel. I see itself. Venezuela included this document, you see, as their evidence to the ICJ. I went back and checked it. I know the page. But I make a photocopy and bring for you all to see of what the Venezuelans said, that Hoyt said. But we must believe him. I see it myself. It's on page 564. But he remembered to photocopy. He remembered to bring the document and said, here it is. Ping, 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 ping. You can check for yourself. I see that for myself. But the Venezuelans said that Hoyt said that he wanted to give them a channel. Hoyt wanted to give them a channel out. But things that he should know, like whether his party is a Marxist-Leninist party, as the question was put to him by Demwara Waves, Dennis Chabral, right? Things that he should know, right? So he said the Venezuelans got it in their document to the ICJ that Hoyt made a proposal to give them a channel out. Wasn't he first? And then he also said yesterday, before I head to the Marxist-Leninist PPP, he said that he know why the Venezuelans making all this trouble about this border issue, because Hugo Chavez told him that this thing but the border thing is an imperialist invention. Somebody always tell his story that can be proven. You see? That can be proven. That's what he said. Hugo Chavez, foreign president of Venezuela, told him. He says it was no secret. And he told the Americans that this whole border thing. So you know why this disciple of Chavez, Maduro, fighting up with this border contention, because Chavez himself told him, and he told the Americans. You see that? He told the Americans, this is a press conference? A whole set of says. I told the Venezuelans, who told the ICJ. Chavez told me, and I tell the Americans put it in the cable and send it to Washington. This is a press conference. But folks, as I said, the question was put to him, whether or not, his party is going to disavow Marxist-Leninism. Everything else under the sun. Listen to him on this. It's quite interesting. Quite interesting.
Are you or is your party prepared to now remove references of Marxism-Leninism from your party's constitution?
That the latter question, that's a question for Congress. The general secretary of a party cannot alter the constitution of a party on his own. It's a question for Congress.
You advocate it?
I have my positions, and I'm not going to, in the public domain, explore this. I'll explore it at the appropriate levels in the party.
Can I press you on the earlier question, sir, with respect to ideology? To what extent do you see Marxism as still a viable tool in the analysis of society today?
Marxism, like you have maybe thousands of economic theories. We're promoting something that is very simple. The keeping our country intact, that is our frame of reference has always been a simple one in the PVP, keeping our country intact. And our track record on the border is a good one. 2, making sure that we utilize our resources sustainably for the development of all of our people. Thirdly, ensuring that we manage the economy well so that we can tackle issues like job creation and the growth of welfare in Guyana, economic welfare of Guyana, keeping our people safe. If you get caught up in the ideology, which one of the global ideology best you can situate this framework in, it's a sterile debate as far as I'm concerned. Sterile at this time.
Folks, it's a simple question. The People's Progressive Party, Civic, is a party built on the ideology of the Marxists and of the Leninists. The question is simple. Does your party still believe in Marxism and Leninism? It's very simple. Suddenly he wants to share a private view. He shares his personal views and they become edicts of the government and of his party. So all of a sudden, because you see, to his core, he's a Marxist-Leninist. He is a Marxist-Leninist. That forms his core belief. But he wants to tell you, no, I am the party. You see, the party. Folks, let's move on to some other important issues. Can we? Shall we, good folks? Move on to some other important issues. Guy Expo opened last evening. The numbers bother me. If I had to go down there to see what's happening. How else we can bring you folks valid, credible information? Folks, people were trickling in. I thought, in usual Guy Expo fashion, the whole of that's the fire area at the back there. It's been locked down. Free passage. Shrip. Free passage. In and out. You can park anywhere. And I was telling my wife, let's try to go early because, parking is usually a problem. I still waiting on the thousands and thousands. Maybe over the weekend. Gloria Chester, maybe over the weekend. Maybe over the weekend. The thousands going to pour in. You know? And about 500 people. Usually be ram, jam, packed. You know? A task to get through the gates. Cars lined up for miles. I said, no. We're exposed. Guy exposed. Yeah. What's happening? You all don't have any interest in what's happening in this country. Or people too worried about the Venezuelans. What is it? Bernadette? What's happening? Leslie Thompson? Why are y'all not going out to Guy Expo? I think it's running up until Sunday. So you're giving some free promo here. You know, they won't even cut us a check and say thanks for that. It opened last evening, and I think it's running up until Sunday. Right? Last time, it's a very, very poor showing. Very, very, very poor showing. You're not interested? The word hasn't gone out there. And then there's a big signboard. It's back. Like a lot of people don't know. It's back. It's blazing across some signboards. It's back. Like it's back as a secret. Direct. You're talking there at Survive Exhibition Center, you can hear it echoing. You can hear it echoing. Bark! Bark, 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 bark. You can hear bark echoing if you shouted the name Bark at the exhibition center last year. But so, we were quite surprised. Got a good piece of pouring curry though, from one of the vendors, and some cherry juice. You know, local cuisine was on top with a few of us who made it in, for a couple of us. You know, if all of us on the live right now had gone to Guy Expo, we sell off Guy Expo. You know, we sell off, they say success. And you wouldn't see they coming out with that on the first night of success. You see? But we were happy to see folks, some of the sales people who were there. You know, there were lots of sales girls on the roadways inviting people to come in. It was so few people. They had to go out and say, y'all come to man and see these things we got here. Take something, take little corals and what have you. Those sales girls are on the road dancing up and so on, you know. So the few of us who were there were intent on having a good time. We were intent on having a good time. That's really good news, and that's really good news, and a couple of us. Folks, I say to you often, and some of you in the diaspora might not understand it, especially those of you who've lived overseas for a number of years, you ain't come back home yet. Guyana has the most dangerous roadways in the world. Every day, we have the task of scouring the newspapers, curating information for you guys that we believe is valid and credible. And you cannot escape the amount of news articles, Yanet Madhu, that covers the carnage on our roads. Last evening, at a roadblock on the East Coast, a roadblock. Folks, I want you to understand this. At a roadblock. The policeman wasn't crossing the road, Julia Lewis. She was at a roadblock where cars are supposed to stop. You know, I have a posture when I'm approaching a roadblock. I want to spend the least time with the officers because I just want to get to my destination. If it's night, I make sure I turn the lights on and I wind the windows down. So you're going to ask me to do that to people in the car. You're going to see me coming from far. At the roadblock, reports suggest that a drunk driver plowed in to some cars and a policewoman on duty was caught in this mayhem. A policewoman on duty doing her work caught in this mayhem. We dare not show the graphic imagery of her feet, her foot, one of her legs dismembered. her body contorted on that roadway. And I say again, Guyana has the most dangerous roadways in the world. And that is how last evening Annette Abel lost her life. Now, those aren't the policy issues that you'll ever see permeate the vice president press conference. No, he wanted to deal with the birth policy issues. I want you to understand that. Michelle Garrett, Edward Brooms, Maureen Chichester Paul, Maxine Monroe, Yvette Wolford. You think you understand that at a roadblock, when Annette Abel left home yesterday, she didn't think at a roadblock she can lose her life. You think you could understand that? You think you could understand that? This problem of what's happening on the roads is so serious. Look what happened overnight. I want to show you. Mothers in Black sent a letter. This is an organization that focuses on road safety because the Mothers in Black are dressed because they have mourned the passing of their kids who've been carnaged on the roadways in this country. Yesterday, Karen Fresco, Ngwazi Griffith, Brenda Moore, the Mothers in Black sent a letter to the media about the carnage on our roads. They didn't know that last evening on the East Coast, this horrific accident was going to take the life of Annette Abel, that police officer, to exemplify what they're talking about in their letter. They didn't know that. But just to show you how two events in isolation, a letter from the Mother in Black, the death of the horrendous death of Annette Abel, the police officer, is going to prove a point. And I hope this nation is listening. That Guyana has the most dangerous roadways in the world. Here are the Mothers in Black says. There's still too many preventable deaths and injuries on our roads. They sent that to the press yesterday. I wonder if Officer Annette Abel, during the course of her day yesterday, read this letter or know this letter was going to the press and she was going to become a statistic. Here's some of what Denise Dias, representing the Mothers in Black, put in this letter. Here are a couple of the things in this letter that's in the press this morning. And Annette Abel, the police officer, lost her life last night. The increased number of vehicles on what was already over-congested roads has given rise to more road crashes. This year, almost every day, innocent persons are killed or injured for life. In this letter. And Denise Dias, the author, on behalf of Mothers in Black, says 99% of the loss of life and injuries are avoidable. When will road safety become a priority? The Mothers in Black quiz. When will road safety become a priority? Unless our laws are enforced to stop these preventable deaths and injuries on our roads, we have failed. We have failed. She goes on, and tell me if this doesn't sound familiar. Denise Dias goes on, tell me if this doesn't sound familiar. We have a pandemic of deaths and injuries on our roads. We have a pandemic of deaths and injuries on our roads. That sounds familiar? Huh? Or are we making things up on this show? That's what the Mothers in Black says. We have a pandemic of deaths and injuries. They go on. Penultimate point. The judicial system has so many victims going to court, seeking justice, month after month, year after year, to no avail. And it is truly a traumatic experience. So you got to mourn the death of your loved one. And then the court system, justice in this country takes a long time. Year after year, month after month, you're going. Mothers in Black, this is a traumatic experience to engage the court system for redress. Finally, they say in this letter, Denise Dias, Mothers in Black, please hear our call, Barry Jack Dio, Vikram Bharat, Mark Phillips. Please hear our call to get international road safety help that our country so desperately needs. Please hear our call to get international road safety help that our country so desperately needs. And I support them in that call. I hope this can become one of the policy issues. I hope this can become one of the policy issues that filters in the Vice President's infamous press conferences on Rickford Burke. I hope so. I truly hope so. Truly hope so. Let's turn our attention quickly before we wrap up to some other things we're following in the news this morning. Pinky Carr, this is Guyana. Maureen Chichester Paul, Annette Cummins, Ford Meadows, this is Guyana. Lynn Fernandez, I support that call. Clearly, we've exhausted anything we can do locally to remedy this. Siobhan McDonald, Craig, Sharon, Margaret Nelson, clearly we have exhausted any local remedy that could have brought this situation to a halt, assuaged this situation. Remember the young man who demanded that the Venezuelan nationals strip because he believed they were bandits or something like that? Oh, he's a vigilante. He's on $460,000 bail. Right? Well, if that's sober he up, put on the clothes, nothing else will. If that doesn't sober him up, this is a young man. Told him to strip. Threatening them. That's not who we are as Guyanese. It is not. We believe we need strong immigration policies and that this current regime has set us on a path to perdition. We need better governance. Right? Better governance. Border governance and elsewhere. Economic governance, social governance. We need better governance, period. That's not who we are as Guyanese. Get Delma Rodriguez talking nonsense. Nonsense. As an update too, there was a major fine of ganja in a barrel. Fellow get $61 million fine. I must find out if you can't pay a fine for $61 million. You just get a little more time added to your 3 years. You get 3 years, 61 million fine. 61. I see people push cocaine, don't get 61 million fine. You see? How much people get fined with the 2 tons of cocaine to Belgium? We arrest anybody? Oh. Again, it's not a real place. It's not. This is one of my favorite shows. Who Vex Vex? Heading back to the Cultural Center next weekend. Nothing to laugh about. Fantastic team of people led by Maria and Lyndon, Maria Jones, Lyndon Jumbie Jones. Fantastic team, fantastic cast. I like to get a seat close up front to see the action. So they're back. And you know, look, from this politics, sometimes you need a little night off. You need a little day off from this politics. See? I mean, not for you, I might want to go and so on, because if you watch Jack New press conference, it's comedy right there. When he start dealing with those policy issue of Rickford Burke, you see, this comedy right there, right? These guys are back. That's the name of the franchise. Nothing to laugh about. One of my favorite satirical shows. I'm just happy to see them heading back to the Cultural Center. Yeah, I can go and detox and get some stress relief. Roxanne Garway. I'm going to go get some stress relief. Look at us following. Of course, now the day goes by. There's a fire on the west coast of Babis quite recently. Right? Whole family homeless. See? Carnage on our roads and waterways. We don't talk about all the time. These other pandemics we deal with in Guyana. Violence against women and girls. Small population. Fire every day, something goes up. A car, a bicycle, a house, a building. Every day without fail. Leslie Thompson, Siobhan McDonald. Very, very sad state of affairs. Very, extremely very sad state of affairs. So we got all that we're dealing with. You see? All of that we're dealing with. Right? Regionally, folks, a boat ferrying passengers to a particular island in the Bahamas sank recently. It was pandemonium. We're being told that American tourists lost their life here. The boat, of course, would have been carrying American tourists to this particular island in the Bahamas. Total pandemonium. Some of what we saw, you know, some of what we saw. Take a quick look, folks.
And the boat just sank. I never thought I would see these lights. Oh my God. I have to try to. They are coming to get us, but here we are. People are panicking. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry about these people. And the boat just sank. I never thought I would see these lights. Oh my God. I have to try to. They are coming to get us, but here we are. People are panicking. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry about these people.
Yeah. Our thoughts and prayers with that American tourist family and friends and loved ones who lost her life. You know, that could have been so much worse. You know, I don't think, like this woman videoing here, I would have the presence of mind in such a disaster to be videoing. You know, could you imagine that? You're overboard and you say, oh, let me take a video. That's a tell where we are. I don't think I'd have the presence of mind. You see? To do that. You know, and I wonder what brand of phone is that, because clearly it survived the water. What is a brand of phone is that? You know, but that aside, she had the presence of mind. Oh, let me take a look. Thoughts and prayers with that American tourist. Roxanne Garway, Margaret George. Good to see you folks. Snapshot of the country and some of what's happening regionally. Leslyn Thompson, Forbes Meduse, Roxanne Garraway, Leslyn Thompson, John Beresford, Andrew Griffith. Good to see so many of you on the live this morning. Our thoughts and our prayers. All those who are suffering and in pain this morning, this country, regionally, internationally. You know, so many people dealing with so much. You know, you come for a vacation, you don't know you're going back home. You see? You step out on a roadblock. You don't know what you don't know. Father have his mercies. You know? You come out and you go back in. Thank the man upstairs, huh? Thank the man upstairs. Because if you depending on these guys to deal with your policy issues, yeah, that's how it is. Valletta Klein, Janet Elias, Donna, and all the other folks join us. Camille Cox, hardest working council there in Region 6. Camille, we see you. We see you, Camille. Leslyn and Julia, Peggy Elias. Peggy, how are you doing? Good to have you there, Peggy, and all the other folks. That's going to do it for us at this end this morning. Thanks for joining us. Maureen Chichester, good to see you there as well. Randy Cole and Warren Fig. Good to have you there, Warren Donjo, and all the other folks. Thanks for joining us this morning. That's going to do it for us at this end. That's our time. That's our program. Share the live, folks. Smash that emoji button. 2, if you got something interesting happening by your end, do let us know. We fast for so. We can tell you. You can tell us. We fast for so. Folks, you're heading into the city. You're looking after some documents. You need to adjust some of the piece. Commissioner votes to affidavits. We want to recommend the RSU College firm. They're right on there on Lamaha Street between Camp and Waterloo. They're downstairs at the Carrion Mall. Lamaha Street between Camp and Waterloo Streets. Good folks. We recommend them highly. Experts on all your documentation needs. And folks, we can't stress enough. We just can't. Partner with us. Right? Please and thank you. Right now, I'm contemplating heading into Region 1 because we hear this influx of Venezuelans are very, very concentrated there. I don't like hearsay. I want to go for myself and see. This is what you'll be helping us towards. You know, it's expensive to get into Region 1. The plane flight alone, I told you all this, is hundreds of thousands of dollars. Or thousands of dollars, rather. That takes us into just over 100,000. That's just the flight alone. And then when you get on the ground from point A to B. Folks, but we want to give you guys valid, credible information. Show you what's happening out there. Help us along. We're building house and buying fancy carry. Unfortunately, one build a studio that we can really up the ante in this work that we do here. 3 years we out here, folks, keeping them accountable. 3 years. Who vex? We got the QR codes. Websites to me. We got the QR codes. We available via Cash App and Zelle and PayPal, MMG, MoneyGram and Western Union. Good folks. And also we can securely accept your credit and debit cards for contributions. Hit us up on our WhatsApp, 627-6963, 627-6963. We can send you a secure link or you can scan the QR code right there at the end, folks, and they'll take you that. 627-6963, our official WhatsApp number. We're going to leave you guys here for today and picking it back on the other side of the day for our final broadcast for the week, folks, as we head into the weekend. This is the final FYI for the week. For the week, Monday's holiday. These holidays are so few and far in between. But good to have had each and every one of you here. Michelle Garrett, Kishan Sharma, Ramjadan, Margot George, Sandra Holder, and all the other folks joining us. Karen Fresco, Neville Cito. Neville, good to see you there. Neville, good to see you on the live this morning. Folks, before you go, share the live. Don't cost you nothing. Because see some of y'all say, me money. You can come and watch me every day. Don't get valid, credible information. I come and fight you all this morning. Shucks. Fight you all this morning. Junior, but Junior, even I was just saying, I could use a holiday. Honestly, a little tired. I could use a 3 years we out here, folks, on firing. Savannah, see that? I'm really tired. Savannah Page, Savannah Wayne Brown, Shellan, Yvette, Esther, Michelle, out front pots. That's it for us to listen. Stay safe, guys. Stay safe.